So, Kelly, it is absolutely wonderful to be here with you, and especially because we already know each other. So, this is like old friends talking again, and that's my favorite kind of conversation. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Brian, and it's really great to be here with you as well. It has been too long.
It has. It has. Any kind of days that passed are like a few days and a million years in time these days. But I'm going to jump right in. I'd love, love, love to just know and jump into your career because it's a really just a neat career the way that you've moved throughout it, and I know you've spent your career in marketing, and how you've seen it change over the years is really just what I'm curious about. What let's start there.
Sounds good. And thank you for not saying a very long career, although it has been. Um, but yes, I started back in the heyday when advertising agencies were the thing. And I really had the privilege of working with great copywriters, great designers, great creative thinkers. And it taught me early on the value of really pushing yourselves around creative product and, when talking to an audience, how to be very smart about it and force yourself to be creative when you're going out and offer that value and all of those things. So it was such a wonderful training ground in addition to getting to learn so many different industries at the same time. In an agency, you're working with all different kinds of clients, so it gave me that ability to be probably a to easily flow between industries, I think, which has helped me in my career. Then I think moving on, I moved into my first startup. We won't note the year, but it was several years ago. And that was, and to between us, I was so over my head when I did it, but jumped in, figured it out, and really grew to love the startup process because startups in general have such a nice energy to them. Everybody's just jumping in, trying to do good and then trying to do better. And so I learned so much, and I really went from, this agency world that where I was guarded with all these, with all this talent around me to running a marketing um, organization within a company, and
Hmm.
that it taught. I mean, I learned PR there. I learned um, about campaigns. I learned about the funnel of building web presences. I really learned the gamut pretty quickly. And of course, hired good people to teach me. But it was my first entree into the startup world. After that, I went out on my own for a bit and just to continue to learn and continue to grow, and that was fun. But the last 10 years, I've really been in the startup realm. Worked for a company called Bloom Energy, where we launched I actually, they brought me in to help launch the company about 10 years ago, and which was an amazing launch. And just I had never worked in clean tech before, and I was really awed by the audiences, people I got to work with. And since then, I've been at a couple other startups that have been all in different industries where I go in, I set everything up. I kind of set up their funnel. I set up their communications programs. I set up their social and all the things that go around marketing. And I've really grown to love that. Just building from scratch kind of scenario. So, and then just build their brands. So now I'm at a place called Landing AI, and I've been here about 3 years and doing the same thing for them, starting from scratch and building out their marketing communications function, and just the beginning parts of building a brand. So it's been fun.
So you've obviously run the gamut of all sides of marketing. That's what I picked up, the thread of everything that you just said. When you look back at all that, each side of everything that you've touched, what would you say was one or two things that stuck out to you as a major lesson, or a thing that you go, wow, I never would have been as good at what I'm doing now had it not been for that?
That's a really great question, and I there's so many to pick from because,
Yeah.
a lot of my learning was as I went and, I tried things that didn't work and moved on. Um, I think a couple of the there's one lesson I'll just point out around management and leadership because that's super important to me, but one of the things I realized early on was that I didn't have to know everything. And I needed to hire people that knew more and let them do what they do. I think early on I thought that, oh, I have to be the manager, I have to be the person that teaches them and, guides their trajectory. And I think I've definitely learned that let people do what they do, put them in the right seat and let them run and let them be better than you. And I continually surround myself with those kind of people. So on the leadership front, it's been that. On the marketing front, I think it's maybe along the similar lines. I've always been someone who is that win-win kind of person. So, and really look at how you can build partnerships that are a win for you and a win for them. How you put teams together that are the same way, where everybody's getting something out of it. And even now, I very much approach what I do with how can I offer value to our customer? How can I bring them something? How do I earn my way into the conversation, if you will? And I think, I'm sure you know too, but more than ever before, you do have to do that. You have to earn your way to be able to talk to them and to be able to have the
Mhm.
conversations you want to have. And I take a lot of time with my team to help them understand it too. Whatever we're doing, it's like, what value is this bringing to the conversation,
Mhm.
to the customer, to their lives? How are we helping them?
Hey, did you have something that, was kind of like a failure to success? We've all had so many failures, which is great. You kind of need to fail in order to understand what didn't work in order to see what did work. Anything stick out for you that you're like, wow, that didn't work epically, but oh my gosh, had that not worked, I wouldn't know what did work.
Well, I have a fun one to share. What I learned out of it, I'm not sure it's all that relevant, but it's fun to share because I'm always don't be afraid to fail. We all do it. We all
Yeah.
learn from it and grow. One of the things I did, I can't believe I'm actually going to tell you this, Brian, but when I was at Cobalt Network, so it's my first startup that I went to. This was early 2000. And we got purchased. We went public. The year later, we got purchased by Sun Microsystems. And so I thought it would be now we're fighting this big, behemoth of a company, right? And we're trying to get in. We want to get on the pricing sheet. We want them to get excited about our little company and want all the salespeople to get to sell us, right? So I built what I thought was just such a brilliant program where I did, our product was it was a server, a small server. And so I put these packages together inside the actual size of our server. I packaged these packages up, put a welcome, put a connecting the dots kind of thing in, telling them everything about our product. So all this brilliance that I think I'm doing. Well, Sun has a lot of salespeople, so it was a big mailing. But all of those mailings went to one warehouse that then were distributed. So I literally overwhelmed the Sun warehouse with our mailing. And my CEO calls me and he's like, what were you thinking? And I'm like, oh. He's like, yeah, that didn't go over so well with the Sun folks. But you know, I'm like, okay, I wouldn't do that again. But the intention was good, and I learned a very valuable lesson. Big companies work very differently than small companies do. Um, and I think I also learned, because then I went to work for Sun too, is how much I really appreciate small companies as well, because they're so dynamic and so fluid, and so you can build your own. So I don't know what major lesson I learned other than that, but it was definitely a one that I can't believe I'm sharing publicly. But yes, it did happen. So
Well, there, the thing is, and what I actually learned from that is that you have to try it. You can't, you don't know if it works if you don't try it.
yeah,
And and own it.
yeah,
And if everyone gets to actually, if a business allows you to do that, that says something for the business and the person. I hope everyone learns from that. And so you're also running marketing communications, as you mentioned, for the landing AI. And I'm curious, how you've successfully built brands for early stage companies. But what's the secret to building a great B2B brand?
I think it kind of launches off the last story. I look at each company I go to very differently. I don't, I mean, there are basic threads that we pull on, right? We build a CRM, we build a funnel, but it's definitely not, when you're going from startup to startup, industry to industry, it's not like rinse and repeat. It really is, all right, take a look at the market. I mean, we're going toward manufacturing. Well, that's a very different market than, when I was doing cybersecurity or clean tech or video conferencing. It's very different. So what I have to do each time, and I think it's why I love it, frankly, because I do get to create something new each time, but I have to go in, understand the audience, understand where they are, understand how to talk to them, understand how to bring that, what is valuable to them, right? And then how do I bring that in and start introducing that? And the way I've done it, and been successful, is that I start to seed the market early. When I know that we're headed toward manufacturing, I start going to the publications and the media outlets that are talking to them. I start having our teams write contributed content, right? Right now, the beauty of the market is everybody's dying for good content. We'll help them out. It's a win win with even the media, right? Because you're offering them something they need. So I'll start seeding the market that way. And I will give them, here's a great article you might want to post. And so I seed it that way. Then we move into demand gen. Then we move into webinar content, which again is still offering up something that's hopefully valuable. But I really do look at each role and each brand as something completely different, and something that you really, before you do anything, you have to understand the market you're talking to. As I think we as marketers all know that, but it's incredibly important.
Yeah, amen. Yeah, it is different, and it takes a while, I know, to ramp up and understand that in each role,
Yeah,
and then understand the audience, and then connect the two, and then really see how the audience is going to respond
yeah.
to everything, um, and
But
test it.
you're so right, and you bring up a really important point. It's like, one thing I'm seeing in the market, in the marketing right now, is that everybody wants everything to happen so quickly. And it does take time. And this is about earning the trust and earning the respect and understanding what that win-win looks like with your audience. It takes time to build and grow. So,
Yeah, yeah, I get that, and it's tough to manage up and down on that expectation. Absolutely. And I'm curious about the campaigns, maybe an interesting campaign or a program that you've run that might speak to either that or just an interesting campaign that you'd be willing to share.
there was one. I think this is my favorite one, so I'll share that. And this was actually something I did for a company called Blue Jeans, which is a video conferencing company.
Mhm.
Well, we decided we were launching a one-to-many product that they were doing. This is a few years back now. We decided, and they were going to the entertainment industry. We decided to launch it at Sundance. Um, well, Sundance, if you've ever had the privilege of going, it is quite an experience. I had no idea, frankly, before I went, but it was the part you go to Park City and Main Street just becomes transformed with this sea of brands and these really really big brands. We're across from Chase and all these others that are just building these enormous experiences. But and we had our little team of maybe 10 people that were going to make this work. And we were able to, we just, because we, partly because we didn't know going in, but also because we just believed we could. And I kind of just said, nothing's stopping us. We're going to make this big. And we ended up taking over art gallery on Main Street, reforming it into an experience, a Blue Jeans experience. We had people, I mean, literally, we had one of the people that we work with, her dad was building us a phone booth with a Blue Jeans. It was just, we sponsored one of the films and brought in some kids to watch it, then brought in people over Blue Jeans after the fact. We did all of these little things that amounted to such a big experience for us. And I think why it is it has such a warm place in my heart for the experience was that we were this little company and we looked so much bigger than we were. And the only reason we did it is because every person on that team and everyone else that helped behind the scenes believed we could do it. I mean, if you're looking from the outside, there's no reason we should have been able to pull that off, but we did. And I don't think I've ever been so proud of a team or be proud to be a part of something like that. But I think the message there, and it goes back to your earlier question, is like, do things differently, go out of the box, believe you can do these big things that sometimes scare people away. But I do believe startups give you the opportunity to try those kind of things and push the envelope, if you will.
Oh, that's amazing. I love that. And I love that everyone believed in it. That says a lot. That, when I don't know if it's the energy behind it or how, when the energy is behind it and, the heart and soul of everything that came out of it and how that showed up in the world and how the momentum that probably created that for it to show up in the world probably gave everyone, a feeling that went beyond what just happened and how that got created, and it spoke volumes for how everyone received it.
Yes,
Yeah.
it did. It really was. I think everybody walked away from that going, "Wow, I can't believe we did that."
Mm.
And wow, we actually like made that work. So it was good. It was really fun.
Wow. Um, so you're you have a lot of this kind of like a melting pot of experience. And so with that, you also can, you have this, I would think you have this capability of seeing kind of where the future is headed. Not that you have a crystal ball. I don't think anybody does. But at the same time, I'd love to know where you see the future is headed in regards to marketing and communications.
Well, I have some pretty drastic predictions. So, I'm actually concerned where the funnel. We've all spent so much time in the last 10 years on the funnel, on building the funnel and making it work and, working our way in. Um, I worry greatly that, phones are going away from desks. People are going away from desks, right? They're going in.
Yeah.
So what happens when all of that falls off? My the way I think about the future and where I think it's headed is really around some things I've already mentioned. It's partnerships. It's partnering with people that are talking to the audience you care about. And this is where I think Leadtail and social comes in. Understand those influencers that are talking. B2B has influencers. These
Mhm.
are people that other people listen to. Find those people,
Mhm.
engage with them, go, how can we help you? And then build those relationships and those partnerships. And that helps you start talking, and it's a gateway to your audience, right? And this is where Leadtail's been so good for us, frankly, because they help us identify who those people are, and then we start the conversation respectfully. And I
Mhm.
really do go with the intent of helping them, because I know it always helps me at the end of the day. So I look to that. So I do think partnerships are a big one. Building community,
Mhm.
understanding where the community lives, understanding where your audience is spending their time, what they're looking at, what they're thinking about. Not necessarily what I want to tell them about me, but what they're talking about. And then how do I join that conversation and then start, all right, now we're talking. Let me show you how we can help you with that. So I think those are the two ways I really care about. I mean, that I'm really seeing more traction with. I think the other thing is that brands today have to be so much more than, not they used to, because it was never easy to build a brand, but it's bigger than the company. It's the people within the company, and you have to put them forward. Let
Mhm.
them be part of the conversation, because in the world that we live in today, um, if I'm taking my rose colored glasses off for a minute, I think trust is eroding on many fronts. So the way I can build that is having, people talk to people, making
Mhm.
those connections, having people be able to tell their story, even if it's not on brand, if you will. In the older days, we wouldn't let anybody talk, right? It was only the executives. Now it's like everybody talk. Be involved in the conversation. Come at it from your perspective. Bring your authenticity to the table, because I know there's someone out there on the customer front that will connect with that. And maybe they don't connect with me and they don't connect with the CEO, but they'll connect with you. So I
Mhm.
think it's on brands to really understand that and bring far more of their people to the forefront to build that brand connection.
Well, you're speaking my language on a human to human level. I think putting humans or people up
Right.
front in any brand and giving everyone a reason to, create and connect with other people is just like vital. We connect with others and we buy from others, not from companies, more so. I'm so excited for where you're at in the world and what you're doing and how you're delivering and the things that you're learning and all that you've done. And I can't thank you enough on behalf of Leadtail TV and myself for just sharing this time together. And thank you so much. Really, really appreciate it.
Oh, well, Brian, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to be a part of this, and always a pleasure to talk to you.
Oh, you as well. You as well. Well, we'll talk again soon. And until then, thank you again.
All right. Thank you.